Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Job Breakdown. Today we're taking a look at Dragoon, last of the melee DPS that we have yet to cover. Dragoon is a lot of fun. You still use your Blood of the Dragon, you go into your basic combos, and after your True Thrust, Vorpal Thrust, Full Thrust combo, you get your 4th and 5th, which is Fang and Claw, and Wheeling Thrust. They of course still have their positionals, but when you are solo, you will not be able to get those. But in any raid encounter you should be using, or boss encounter, dungeons, you should be using them, using the positionals to get that extra DPS. Once you have used your Fang and Claw and your Wheeling Thrust, you then can get Ride and Thrust ready, which is very damaging and allows you to continue your basic combos because it does not take up another ability or a slot. It is just your True Thrust, but upgraded. If you use both of them, you can then Ride and Thrust and be able to keep going. This makes Dragoon, in my opinion, feel even better to be able to just keep that rotating, because you're just using the same abilities over and over, yes, but you are always getting that rolling ability of damage, that rolling wheel of damage, you could say, which feels really nice. I think that they did a very good job with this. Up into Ride and Thrust, and there you go. You also want to be using High Jump, which replaces regular jump, starting with level 74, I believe. Does more damage than regular jump. Then you use your Mirage Dive to be able to get the first eye going. And of course, you will just keep that up every time you can high jump to be able to get the eye. None of your other jumps now give you Eye of the Dragon to be able to get your Skogul upgraded into an Astrond. But high jump comes back really quick, does some good damage, and works out pretty well, I think. I do miss being able to get that second jump in there and having to balance that when it comes to your buffs. But I understand why it's tied to one, and you now only need to use it twice to be able to activate your Nastrond. You still have your other jumps, of course. Spine Shatter no longer gives a paralysis effect, but it still does 240 damage. And then Dragonfire has no drop off and is a very good AoE jump. Then you can Nastrond, and at any point in there, you can Stardiver as well. Stardiver is really good. It does have drop-off, unfortunately, which is not great. But 600 potency, especially for single targets, is really good. It's very powerful, and it doesn't eat your Life of the Dragon, so you are still able to keep up life to be able to get those extra Nastrons out without it being an issue. Stardiver is very, very good. I like it a lot. Especially because other abilities of this tier normally eat the resource as well, so you would expect it to end your Blood of the Dragon or your Life of the Dragon, but it does not, which I think is really cool. Then you have your AoE combo, which has been expanded this expansion as well. Doom Spike into Sonic Thrust into Curthin Torment. Curthin Torment, pretty cool, and does some really solid damage, and also increases your Blood of the Dragon, so you will be able to keep Blood of the Dragon up even while using your AoE combos. This is the basic rotation for Dragoon. You can do it faster than I'm doing it for sure, but this is the basic rotation. You're going to be keeping up your single targets if you're single target, or you're going to be keeping up your AoEs, your AoE, to be able to keep building Blood of the Dragon and using your high jump, going into Mirage Dive to be able to get Life of the Dragon and be able to get Nastrods out there and Star Drivers out there. Because those two are your bread and butter when it comes to damage. Everything else does really good damage still, but those two are what you're looking for to be able to do as much damage as you can. From there, of course, you have the other intricacies that come with Dragoon. You have your Dragon Sight, which will select an ally near you, or you could select an ally, that is, and then they will get a buff to their damage by giving them the left eye, which gives them 5% extra damage as long as it's on them. Because of the changes with Shadowbringers, it now gives you 10% whether you have an ally near you or not. So you're going to want to use that during your big Life of the Dragon combo window to be able to do as much damage as you can, and it's great to have that additional damage whenever you need it, basically. You also have Lance Charge, which is the new version of Blood for Blood. You now get 15% extra damage done without taking any damage back for it, which is the way that Blood for Blood used to work. So that is wonderful. It feels so good to be able to pop that and not have to worry it felt terrible to use a blood for blood and then have a situation where the boss does a raid wide. And it's, well, yep, the healer's got to pick up for me now because I'm taking extra damage I didn't have to take, all because I wanted to do more damage. And that felt really punishing. And so they fixed that with Lance Charge, and it feels really good now. Then you have Battle Litany, which is crit rate for everyone in the party, which is very nice. Use that before your big burst windows. Or if the ninja uses Trick Attack, you can drop a Battle Litany to be able to really buff up that damage. That's really what there is. You still have your roll abilities, of course, your Arm's Length, Second Wind, Bloodbath, Feint, and True North. True North, obviously, very helpful for when you're trying to get Ride and Thrust ready, because you need to do those positionals correctly to be able to get that. True North, and then another True North, and we'll get Ride and Thrust ready. But obviously, if you're doing your positionals correctly, then you won't have to True North. Soloing is where you're going to want to use that. You also have Elusive Jump. This is very handy to get away from the boss or from a mechanic. And then, of course, you can jump right back in. You have 2 different jumps that get you right back in. And Stardiver also brings you back in. But High Jump will not bring you back in the same way. Definitely something to keep in mind. From there, the other thing we haven't really talked about is Piercing Talon. If you have to be pulled away from the boss for any reason, maybe you're dodging a mechanic, you, of course, still have Piercing Talon to be able to keep your DPS up even when you're away. And if your Blood of the Dragon gets a little low, let's say it drops to below 10, and maybe you're concerned because the boss is moving a lot, you don't think you're going to be able to get your Blood of the Dragon back, you can use it again. It now has less of a cooldown than the ability that it gives, because it gives you a very nice bar of Blood of the Dragon. And so you will be able to keep Blood of the Dragon up basically forever. It used to be very punishing when you died as a Dragoon, because you had to build your Blood of the Dragon back up, and now you don't have to do that as much. Still don't die because you're doing negative DPS while you're dead, but you have that option now instead, so that feels really good. I like to Elusive Jump and then Stardiver because it looks so cool. You don't have to do that, but it looks cool. That's pretty much it. The only thing we haven't really talked about is Chaos Thrust has a debuff, an AoE dot, which is very nice. Definitely something to keep up. No reason not to. And then if you have an Astron ready and your Life of the Dragon falls off, you lose the Nastron. So it is always worth it to keep that Nastron. Every time you have Nastron, you should be using Nastron. With all that said, though, I have been Trey. This has been the Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that Dragoon has to offer.